I'm really into this whatever podcast. I love it. I love when someone's outnumbered. And this guy, the host of the show, he's always on a panel with a series of largely, not all, insufferable women. I mean, some of them, every now and then you'll have one that you'll be like, oh, that's a good addition to the table, or someone who really doesn't fit in. But the vast majority of women there, you're like, if you showed up for a blind date and it was them, you cry for the first 15 minutes and then you try to figure out a way out. That's bottom line. So there's an interesting conversation that happens here that's pretty deep, actually. That's about motherhood and custody battles. And he initiates it. There's a woman at the table who seems to be, I don't know if she had a lot of alcohol or smoked a joint. Something's going on there. I don't know what it is. You tell me when you listen. She has a very definite opinion about this. She has a child. And the interaction left me stunned. So let's play it. And I may stop it. Here and there to provide commentary. But let's start.
Push that there should be an assumption of equal custody between both parents.
Okay.
But currently, the way the court system is set up, typically it defers mostly to women getting custody.
That's actually not true.
It's very true.
I think it's true.
Think so.
It's very true.
Money talks.
Source, I think.
It's very true.
Money talks, though.
So it typically defers to women having primary custody. I don't know the exact terminology.
Oh yeah, they birthed the motherfuckers.
But
I mean,
in Florida recently, there was they were trying to pass a bill where it would be 50-50 equal custody.
Yeah.
And feminist organizations fought against that. So it would technically come at the detriment of women for there to be 50-50
Wait, why? Because
equality.
you don't get like an alimony check or a child support check or something?
Women.
No, you don't get child support if it's 50-50.
I just meant the thinking just there is just that because you lose out on a check. What's the detriment to the woman part? If
she can't understand, we got to pause it. She can't understand. This is the mom, by the way. She can't understand why it would be a detriment to the woman to lose partial custody of the child. She's like, well, is it a money thing? Otherwise, what would be the problem with a woman losing the child half the time? She goes on, by the way, did you catch, because Tyler and I looked at each other and then, did you catch that comment from the girl where she's like, well, you birthed the motherfuckers. Like, you birthed them. Like, I mean, this is just a vulgarity. What a beautiful way to talk about a child. It's just such a kind, pure, wholesome world that we live in 2022.
You know, I thought you were being a little maybe intense with the term insufferable, but then as I look from left to right here, you have sleeveless and tattoos with the alimony or the custody check. The girl in the middle who's saying birth the motherfuckers, and then the elf, the actual elf.
Oh, we're gonna get to the elf.
On
don't
the far
worry.
right.
You people at home are like, Jed, you need to address the elf right out of the gate. Like what? I wish I could tell you what's going on there. I mean, some type of Halloween costume, some type of fetish. I don't know. I actually could get on board with the costume, but the pointy ears put me right over the top. I was like, she was all in. So
and they're pierced. Like, I don't know if she had her ears done.
I think there's an attachment at the top. I don't know. And by the way, you didn't mention the girl with the turquoise shirt. That's the best one. She's just quiet right now. Just wait on that. God. So we're talking about custody, and this woman who's a mom can't imagine why a woman would be upset having to give up her kid half the time. Like, what? Does she not get money? Wait, keep playing it. It gets even better.
I ask more because, like, do you have any kids, Brian?
I don't, but there's...
Okay, cool.
Okay. Let me answer your question.
Yes, and then, yeah.
Yeah. So the reason that could be viewed as coming to the detriment of women is there's often custody battles. And most of the time in custody battles, people want more control over their children. So if it's sort of de facto,
but only for like
women get
a
custody.
child support check, right? Like, what's the?
Wait,
or you mean because they really want their kid, or because they want like some power over their ex and the money from them?
Well, I'm just providing one specific example where feminists don't fight for equality.
Why wouldn't feminists want like men and women like to have like an equal chance of like having custody of their kid?
That's what
because
I
it
say,
comes
like,
at the detriment of women.
But okay, wait. I want to speak to this only from the fucking standpoint of like, I'm the only one sitting here that actually has a kid, and like I'm the only one sitting here that actually knows what that fucking takes. Okay, and I would say that it is insane as a thought to me that like I might not have the ability to have a partner be involved. Like I never would be sitting here with a kid in my life if I didn't think that I had that partner being able to be involved in some way. So that's just to say whether we were together or not. So if I were to like do a break custodially, fuck yeah, brother. Like they better be taking half this fucking time of this child. And let me say why. Because me, like you, enjoys to be a fucking human. Like, I don't know. I know I have friends of mine who I only met in their divorced years, and they like could meet me as a single person before kids because they were fucking a divorcee that split custody. I don't know anyone in their right mind that wouldn't fucking ask for a split on custodial fucking purposes. Because God.
This is deeply disturbing. Like as a mom to watch this, like my child is everything to me. So heaven forbid anything happen, I would be fighting tooth and nail to be with him all the time. Like he is my everything. What an unbelievably selfish, strange, disturbing response from a female to say, hell yeah, I mean, I need to offload that mofo onto somebody else half the time. I mean, I understand everyone needs a break every now and then to take a shower, to maybe hit the gym for an hour. By the way, that's what family and community used to be for people. I talked about this the other day, how people used to live communally. Now we have the breakdown of community. You have the breakdown of family. So that is a side effect of a lot of this. That there's, it's not like, my mom or my aunt or or the child's, whatever, cousin or someone can, grab the kid for an hour and let me, take a shower. No, that doesn't exist a lot of times. So that's a problem. That's a separate conversation we can have. But can you imagine her not being able to wrap her head around how a woman, a mom, would want to fight for that child? She can't. She's like, well, it must be about money, because why else? He better take that child. I mean, what an unbelievably disturbing way to speak about your kid. Let's keep playing, Tyler.
I am not good at taking care of my fucking self. So let alone my cats, my dog, and my child. I mean, fuck, man. Who doesn't want a break? I don't know. I don't get that at all. I think that's a fucking, show me the fucking fact that shows that somehow women would benefit from not having the motherfucker take the kid half the time.
I feel like your question sucked.
I don't get it.
They don't get it.
That example.
They don't get it. They don't get it because they are now growing up in a world. I don't know how old she is. She doesn't look that young. I mean, no disrespect, but she looks, I would guess 30 at least. I mean, she doesn't look like she's in, some of these girls are in their early 20s. They say it at some point. I don't know how old she is, but she looks like she's lived a little bit more than that. But a lot of these girls, women, are being raised in a world now where motherhood is presented as burdensome. That's all you see. You see the exhausted housewife. You see it in movies. You see it in television. You see it as basically she's a Cinderella. She's on the floor scrubbing every tile. She's exhausted. She's tired. She's daydreaming about her former single life. She's trapped, in a sense, in this new life. She has regrets. She has no life of her own. She's getting overweight and just eating badly because she's distressed by it all. That's what's presented. So that's what these women equate with motherhood. I don't have a single woman in my life, not one that I know, that wouldn't fight tooth and nail for full custody of their child, and would just say, I want my kid, and they can't imagine anything else. Not that they don't want that child to have time with the dad, none of that, but it's just your baby. It's like you're everything. You're like, I can't even imagine a world where he wouldn't be I'll figure it out. The most rewarding, incredible job that I will ever have in this life is raising that child. To do it alone would be incredibly hard. But in my head, I'm I will figure it out. This is my baby. I wouldn't be thinking about money and this. I mean, I just cannot. There's a tweet by Rollo Tomassi, our friend Rollo Tomassi, that I saw, and I had remembered this tweet, and I held on to it, and I pulled it back for an occasion like this. Let's take a look at that tweet. Tyler, can you read that for me, because there's a glare?
What woman wants to be a mother? In every media, mothers are defined as boring, asexual, overworked, and fat. Feminism makes motherhood a failure of potential. Why would any woman aspire to being a mom?
And this is a huge problem. Modern feminism destroys the idea of motherhood. They make it like if you haven't lived your life right, and by right is by their standard of success. In other words, you didn't climb that corporate ladder. You didn't go figure out what career you wanted to do. You didn't get that MBA right alongside a man. You didn't make the decisions that they deem appropriate for their vision of what a woman should be in 2022. And instead, you decide that you want to be a stay-at-home mom, that you want to be a housewife, that you want to take care of your home, that you want to be, more domesticated, that you like to cook, and all of these things. That's considered less than. And they even go so far in some instances to say that it's for women who couldn't do the other stuff. And that's just completely disrespectful and untrue. They can't wrap their heads around why a woman would want to do those things, because they don't want to. They don't want to see that, right? They don't want to see that because it gets in the way of their narrative. And what they really want is women to follow paths that make them more unattractive to men, because they don't want this union. Remember, we talk about the system all the time, right? The system doesn't want the union. The system doesn't want women to value traditional roles. They don't want that. They don't want any of that. They want the breakdown of the family. They need the breakdown of the family. They need women and men detached. They need children suffering in those. Why do they want children? You say, well, Jed, why would the system want children to not have a mom and dad at the home? Well, why? Because if a child doesn't have mom and dad at home, and a child isn't born into a healthy union between mom and dad, that child is more likely to be dependent on the system. That child is more likely to be put in state-run educational programs or state-run daycare. That child is fresh and ready to be indoctrinated by the state. The system hates homeschooling. They hate homeschooling. They hate anything that gives parents and community and family authority over what happens in that child's life. And they love breakdown of family and breakdown of community that hands that child over to the state for its latest indoctrination program. If you want to watch the full episode, you're going to click right here. And if you want to ask me a question one-on-one, you want to do a one-on-one FaceTime with a group of your friends, whatever you want, you need to download Connect right now. Click right here and let's get talking.